This is Baby Emmanuel. This is another case involving a little boy who disappeared here in Southern California. Riverside County is adjacent to Orange County, where I was a DA for 26 years. Phil, why don't you walk us through this one briefly, if you could? What's this case all about?
All right. Well, so the Riverside County DA's office held a presser back on day before yesterday, August 27th. So investigators have stated that they have a tremendous amount of evidence to show that the original story of the kidnapping was not true. And I know y'all are shocked by that because their stories were obviously so believable that apparently nobody on earth believed them. But anyway, law enforcement says they're appreciative of the compassion that everybody has for Emmanuel, but they apparently didn't seem to want to. I've seen videos. They didn't want to lock down the crime scene of the house. You got members of the public walking through here. They say that they nevertheless have a strong indication of where Baby Emmanuel's remains are, although the dad has given different versions of that. They sadly confirm what lots of us had sort of speculated about. Maybe it's educated speculation, but they believe the child had been severely abused over a long period of time, and that regardless of who killed the child, that both parents would have been aware of that abuse, and so they're charging them both, with this murder. So I think we have SOT 7, if you want to play it, Matt, because you got the DA saying that Emmanuel was severely abused over that period of time. Here it is.
Yeah, let's listen to that.
I can't speculate. I'll repeat what I already said. We believe that Emmanuel was severely abused over a period of time, and that's the reason for the filing. The way it was, is that he was abused over a period of time. Both parents would have been aware of that abuse.
So, Jonna, one of the big questions out there that I keep seeing online over and over again is, how can you prosecute a murder case without a body? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it is possible, and it has happened in the past. And this case it reminds me of a case, and again, I'm like dating myself with these old cases. Do you guys remember David Westerfield? Danielle Van Dam was the victim. Now, her body, she had gone missing. I think she lived next door to him, or he lived in a trailer park. She lived next door. Her body went missing, and 4 months into this missing situation, they charged him with murder. They eventually found her body after they charged him, though, I think in a landfill. And, that when you talk about, you were talking about in the other case how people will intentionally place bodies out in the California, desert or forest or wherever they are, where animals are going to quickly consume them to remove all the DNA. Landfills are the equivalent of that, right? Bodies very easily decompose. They get mixed up in this mess, and it's like literally trying to find a needle in a haystack. And but this little girl was found there, and he was prosecuted successfully. I thought that part of this story may end up the same way, where Baby Emmanuel's body may have been discarded. I don't quote me on that, but that's initially what I heard.
Okay, let's play another clip from that same press conference. I want to get your reactions to this. This is once again the DA, but talking about the judge and a prior sentence for Mr. Haro.
So in 2018. Jake Haro, with his ex-wife, there's another child who they were prosecuted for child abuse as well, child neglect, cruelty. That child was also an infant. What we wanted out of the case was prison. We believed it was a prison case, and that Jake Haro should have gone to prison. Jake Haro pled straight up to the court. In this case, a judge here in Riverside County, happened to have been a visiting judge from San Bernardino County, gave Mr. Haro a suspended sentence, which means, if I can translate for you what that is, it means that instead of sending him to prison, he chose to give him probation and suspend prison time sort of over his head. I will say that it was an outrageous error in judgment by this judge. And I don't have any problem saying that. I'm not attacking the judge personally, That decision was absolutely outrageous. Mr. Haro should have been in prison at the time that this crime happened. And if that judge had done his job as he should have done, Emmanuel would be alive today. And that's a shame, and it's an outrage.
So what do you think, Jonna? DAs going after judges, not a super common thing. Give us your thoughts.
No. But in this case, so ridiculous, right? Because this man was basically convicted of severely abusing another child and got a slap on the wrist, which is really interesting because you guys know, we all know what goes into that decision. It's typically not just the judge's decision. You're going to have the defense attorney, the prosecution, and most likely a probation officer who's going to do a pre-sentence investigation report and kind of guide the court on what it should do. Now, can a judge poo-poo all of that and do whatever the heck he wants? Sure. Did that happen here? We don't have that information enough to analyze it. But I do agree that if you put a monster behind bars, they're not going to, for a long time, they're not going to be able to commit the same offense. And it sounds like that's exactly what happened here. And it's infuriating and it's so incredibly heart-wrenching and sad. It really hurts my heart, this story. And looking at that poor innocent little 7-month-old boy, it's just heartbreaking.
Phil, as a police officer, you responded to more than one domestic violence scene and more than one child abuse scene, I'm sure. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, it's certainly heartbreaking, and while it's uncommon for prosecutors to slam judges in that way, I think it's probably warranted because look, it's the totality of the circumstances are what judges have to look at. But one of the big circumstances in that previous case from 2018 was the severity of the injuries to that poor child, also an infant, lifelong injuries, things that she'll never recover from, as I understand. So I think straight probation under those circumstances was quite frankly a bit outrageous. But if there's a silver lining to any of this, it's that, this dad, I'll use the term very loosely, this sperm donor, if you will, for this child, he has apparently confessed to undercover inmates. And so it looks like the murder case against him is going to be very strong. And he's probably looking at life in prison. So that mistake is not going to be made twice, what happened from 2018.